now that the weather in the UK is finally starting to look a lot better than the gloomy rubbish that we normally get, it's given me basically an opportunity to go out and start getting sunset type pictures, which I love doing, but we don't get many opportunities here in the UK, so I'm going to grab them whenever the opportunity comes up. Which has kind of got me thinking about doing potentially a small run of videos basically about how I shot different kind of shots, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that still get a little bit flustered when it comes to these type of pictures. So I want to show you how to do this picture basically, or the thought process behind it, the gear that I use, etc, etc. It's going to be pretty short and sweet, nothing too complicated. It's a really nice simple picture. As I say, it doesn't take long, and yeah, it's just something nice and simple to start with. First things first is my thought process behind the picture. I love sunsets, my bride and grooms love sunsets. So naturally, I've just got to double check what time the actual sunset is. There's loads of apps you can get on your phone, so Android or iPhone or whatever your flavour is. Just get an app, it's going to tell you what the time of sunset is in your local area. Some of those apps will actually tell you pretty much precisely where the sun's going to set. Yeah, they're pretty useful actually, but just know the sun is always going to set pretty much in a clockwise position. So if it's up in the sky, it's going to go down over that way somewhere, you might say. It's really, really simple, guys. So just double check locations, double check times, and then go inside, because obviously sunset's a little bit later in the evening. Make sure your bride and groom are happy to come out for a quick picture. Remember, have the idea for the picture in your head before you actually bring the bride and groom out. Don't bring them out and go, where am I going to take them? Because they're not going to be that impressed. Know exactly where you're going to take them for the actual location, double check the times, bring them out. You only want them out there for a couple of minutes maximum, and then send them back in even, so they can dance and party the night away. It's really quite easy, guys. So that's pretty much the thought process behind it. It's really basic 101 stuff, guys. Double check times, find the location, bring the bride and groom out. Next up's camera gear. You like camera gear, I like camera gear. We all like camera gear. It's probably why you started shooting weddings in the first place, because you want to buy more camera gear. It's kind of how I started, really. Regardless, sunsets you can do with pretty much any lens and camera combo. It really doesn't matter whether it's micro four thirds, full frame, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's more about your kind of setup with your lighting and white balance. Actually, white balance is a really important thing. For this particular shot, I used a Canon 5D4 and a 24-70 Mark II. Kind of a cool setup. I know a lot of the people who've been following my channel have seen that I've been switching over to Sony. The reason why I didn't use Sony's for this particular image is because my actual triggers, they're Canon based. So I'm going to use Canon in the evening for anything flash at the moment. I do need to buy some of these again for the Sonys. I've just been cheap lately and I haven't bought any. It's going to happen, but for this particular shot, Canon 5D Mark IV, a 24-70 Mark II. Flashes, on the other hand, if, like, I just grab one of these, it's a Godox AD200, best flash for weddings ever. It's incredible. I've actually got two of these that I use weddings, use them for first dances, speeches, anything else. Basically anything I need flash for off camera. These are incredible, absolutely brilliant. I've got them, like I say, two, A and B, just so I can just sort out the channels, etc, etc. Absolutely fantastic. And what's even better about these is you can pop the head off. And what this allows me to do, if bear with me a second, allow me to get a gridded softbox, and it just literally, if I get this right, typically, there we go. You see, it just attaches on. And it's really good. So this gives me a gridded softbox. It's really nice. It basically allows me to channel the light wherever I want, so it doesn't spill everywhere, so onto the backdrop. Lighting position is really simple. I'm just putting it to roughly a 45-degree angle from the couple. Hit them with a little bit of flash. Remember, it's gridded, so it's directly just going onto them. It's not going to spill anywhere else. And that's how you get that nice kind of 3D look. So that's gear, lighting, bringing the bride and groom out, my thought process, etc, etc. All of that's covered. Told you, it's not going to take long, guys. It's a really simple picture. With that, let's dive into Lightroom and just see how to edit this. It's a really, really simple process. There's not much to it. It's not going to take long. So let's go. Okay, here we are with the image originally out of camera, so nothing's been done to it. As you can see over here on the right hand side, everything's set to 0, so it's a good starting place. Up here on the top left you can see all my kind of base settings, so ISO 50, 2.8 at 200th of a second. ISO 50 because it was still quite bright outside and I want to basically not let too much light into the camera, because I wanted this basically a little bit dark and moody kind of feel to the picture, but still have nice colours in here, and we're going to get some nice colours out of this one, I can promise you. So up here, I just want to warm this up a little bit, nothing too much, maybe just go a little bit warmer, but you'll see in a minute the colours do come out quite nicely. I just bring the exposure up a little bit of contrast. I do like contrast into my pictures. I don't like using the clarity slider, so I am going to bring that down a little bit because it affects the skin tones quite badly. If I'm doing detail shots of, let's say, jewelry or shoes or anything like that, I will use the clarity, I'll put it into a plus, but for skin tones I prefer not to. Highlights, I'm going to bring these down quite a lot because I want to get all of this in the background to bring the colours out quite heavily. I know it's darkening the couple here, the bride and groom, but don't worry about that at the moment, everything's going to be fine. It's going to raise the shadows a little bit, raise the whites a little bit, blacks, I'm not going to touch for now. Tone curve, this is where basically the magic can happen, but you can also do a lot of damage to your picture. Typically you want a little bit of an S-curve. I'm just going to put that there, and I'm going to bring this up a little bit. I don't want to do it too much. You can see it's just a little bit nasty on the actual skin tones, so I don't want that. Skin tones you've got to be really careful with. I don't want to go too much of a vintage feel either, because that's not the look I'm going for. And then we're already starting to look okay. Split toning, because I don't use HSL that much, and you can see in here everything's set to 0. But split toning, again, this can be really good, or it can be really bad. Let's start off, let's add a little bit of colour to my highlights, somewhere around here. Now I know again they look still pretty dark in the picture, we're going to sort that out in a little bit. So just do that, and again into my shadows I do want some colour, probably not that much, that's a bit too much still. Again, subtle is best. Balance, probably don't want that much saturation. Want to keep the vibrance up, drop the saturation a little bit down, and already you can see the image is starting to kind of pop a little bit. Detail, I generally take my masking up, and if you hold Alt you can see where it's basically the sharpening is going to happen. If you leave it down here it's going to sharpen basically everything, and we don't want that. We want to basically just sharpen them basically. It doesn't get any simpler than that. Radius, I just take up a little bit. You can see what happens again. I'm holding Alt. You can see what happens, and you don't want that too high because it's just going to look that really over sharpens kind of look. That's kind of cool. Don't need much noise reduction, so I'm just going to leave that there. Pretty good. Now that we've got the setting pretty much where I want it, I want to make sure these guys, or the bride and groom, look a little bit brighter. So I go up here, we just go to exposure. I've got on 0.3, that's fine. I'm just going to make a little bubble around them. I might just take this up ever so slightly. See that? That makes a big difference. So if I take it off and leave it on, but then I can take my highlights down a little bit as well, and I might just bring my shadows up. This bubble thing is really powerful, guys. If you don't use it that much, start using it. It's very powerful. Okay, cool. So there we are. That is pretty much my finished edit. And how long did that take? 2-3 minutes. There's the before and there's the after. You can see how much we brought the colours out on this particular picture, and I think that looks really, really nice. I'm more than happy to hand this over to the bride and groom. I don't typically zoom in too far and remove individual pimples and stuff like that. It's only if it really stands out basically for me, because I want to keep my bride and grooms looking as real as possible. So there's one here on this groom's neck. I'll remove that one. These are all just kind of standard kind of moles or freckles, you might say. There's a couple of little marks on her chin, but nothing too much, and there's just one tiny one there. Done. There is my bride and groom in the sunset. Really hope that kind of quick tutorial helps you with potentially getting your own sunset pictures. If it did, give me a like, maybe a comment. If you want to see more, obviously subscribe, and I don't know, maybe check out some of my other videos. Until then, I don't know, catch you later.